Yo there guys, this is Cobb and I hope you're having an epic Sunday. Not expecting this episode to be massively long, but I'm releasing another video today of the latest PTR build, showing some of the changes, as well as the pretty pitiful excuse for the new arena gear for the coming season. Anyways, quick blog update. The blog just yesterday actually hit 20,000 page views, which is amazing. I really hope that you guys are liking it. Even if you are not the reading kind and don't even glance at the articles posted up there, I at least hope you are enjoying the PvP music playlist. There are a couple more posts up on the website though. There is an article up on the Elder Scrolls Online, things I'm excited and hopeful about with regards to the PvP. There's also a post I made replying to one of you guys, answering a whole bunch of questions about starting out as a YouTuber and the kind of things you can work towards to get things moving. And pretty soon there's going to be a post about Dota 2 in comparison to League of Legends. As for more general updates, there isn't much to say other than there's going to be a ton of content over the next fortnight, duels, arenas and guys. My desktop is smothered in sticky notes with video ideas scribbled all over them, so definitely a lot of videos on the way. And this is including the second episode of the Warlock Spec Challenge, which I'm really excited to record. And on the note of more content, I'm putting out a quick PTR video today too. There aren't many changes, but there are some interesting ones for sure, so make sure to check that out. And that is literally it for updates, so let's start out with your questions, the first of which is from Alan Dip, or Alan DP, who asks, how do you pick your questions? I like to pick questions that I feel I can answer well, and by that I mean I usually have to dig into my own personal knowledge or memory bank to answer it. If I can answer a question that will teach someone something or help someone, or even just allow you guys to learn a little bit more about me, then I consider that to be a good question. I generally try not to answer questions that I feel have already been answered before. I don't want people watching these Sunday chats to feel like they're watching the same episode every weekend, and I do get a lot of questions that have already been answered in previous Sunday's videos. Abdul Aziz Mahomi asks, what class would you choose as a free 90 with Warlords of Draenor and why? So when Warlords comes out, Blizzard are giving us a free character boost to level 90 on any character of our choice, and I'd have to say I'm either going to go with a DK or my standard second Warlock, but I'm leaning currently towards a DK. And that's because DK is one of those classes like Mages for example that rarely seems to be weak in PvP. Of course, there have been patches when a DK has been weak, but it does seem to be rare, and for me, having a second 90 character that you know is going to be pretty strong in PvP is kind of comforting. And that's because if Warlords comes along and Destruction Warlocks are completely broken like they were in Cataclysm, it is nice to have an ult that you can log onto just to tear things apart with. Like in Cataclysm, I had myself a mage. When things got too depressing on my Warlock, I could always just log onto my mage, barrel my face across the keyboard and kill the world. And a DK will hopefully serve the same purpose in Warlords of Draenor if Warlocks are in a bad place in PvP. Michael Da Silva asks, do you work on something beyond your YouTube? If you do, which would it be? And I'm gonna assume that you mean which job would I want to do if I wasn't YouTubing, and one thing I love to do is write fiction. I have done for as long as I can remember, so if there's one thing I could be if it wasn't a YouTuber, it would probably be a novelist. There's just something about imagining up a vivid new world, designing the characters who live in that world, giving them goals and dreams and flaws, and then being able to share it all by putting it down on paper or by typing it up. Every person you could ever hope to meet and every place you could ever dream of visiting can be visited through writing fiction. I think it's amazing. Maybe I'm just a massive nerd, but it is what it is. And if I could make a living off of doing that, I wouldn't be as happy as I am with video editing and YouTubing, but I would not be far off. Doing what I do though does take up a lot of my days, sometimes entire days of just editing, rendering, uploading, publicizing. There is realistically no time left over to put towards crafting stories that I want to tell. Kaylin Balut asks, will you try to do an editing tutorial series sometime in the future? And yes, I'm pretty sure that I eventually will. They will of course be centered around Sony Vegas. I was planning on making 2 videos, one of them covering how to cut your clips the best, and more of a basic guide. The second may be going over editing, and that one will be a lot more advanced. Editing I feel is very situational and is a lot more about theory and practice and trial and error. I might even record my screen as I edit over one of my BG montages, then commentate over it and try and give a quick rundown of why I'm doing what I'm doing and all that. But we will see how fast these things come. I can't really prioritize these videos over the gaming ones. I get the feeling there'll be a bunch of people who aren't so much interested in editing videos, so when I do make them, I'll do my best to upload a WoW video on the same day as I release them. Wolfgang Ramsey asks, why don't you live stream for extra money? I love how committed you are to YouTube. but I was just wondering. I've tried live streaming a couple of times and I know a lot of you guys want to see it, but I've got to stay true to myself here. I didn't mind live streaming, but I didn't enjoy it a vast amount either. When I game, I really like to immerse myself. I like to be completely focused on the game, and usually with profusely loud music blaring in my headphones, and likewise when I arena, it might just seem like I'm going crazy and having a laugh, which I am, I guess. But there's also a lot of focus in there too. And for me, focus or immersion does not come naturally when people are watching. Other people are the opposite and thrive off of having views, which is great for them, but it's not so good for me. I'm also undeniably an introvert. I stick to tightly knit groups of friends I keep to myself. I'm reserved. I will gladly fade into the background if put in a group. You guys don't even know how weirdly nervous I was, and when I uploaded my first video with my voice in it, it was scary as hell. Now, you mentioned extra money, which would definitely be nice, but like I've always said, I don't care how much money I'm being paid. If I can get by and support myself and Sophie while loving what I do for a living, that is worth so much more than any pay rise. Maybe things will change in the future, but for now I'm gonna stick with what I'm comfortable with. Kevin Butai asks, how did you fall in love with metal? Because I just love the heavy tunes you use in your vids. This one made me smile because until I was about 12 or 13 years old, I actually believed that I did not like music. I'd listened to everything it seemed, and while I could understand why people liked music in the top 10 music charts and all that, I just didn't feel moved by it at all. Pop music was just so unpowerful to me. It felt flat and very contrived. And let's be honest, even today I would estimate at least 80% of pop music artists either do not write or do not really believe in the songs that they sing. It might have started out that way, but it ends up coming down to money. And there just seem to be very few pop songs I could listen to and really appreciate on an emotional level. Then my big sister introduced me to Slipknot, and up until that point, I didn't even know such powerful, emotive, brain-melting, reality-shattering music even existed. And it doesn't matter what you think about Slipknot or Slipknot fans, they are amazing at what they do, and looking up Slipknot opened my eyes to an entire world of music. Over time I started to lean towards more mechanical and heavy riff-styled metal. Some people call it gent metal. Not a big fan of the term myself, but cybrid, metal fused with genres like trance, dance, drum and bass, artists like Zardonic, Veil Emotions, Migraine, Eventide and Celldweller. Songs by these guys are amazing. I'm also really into more chilled music too by guys like Ghosts of Paraguay, but that is a whole other question. Boris Botev asks, what are you planning to do with your life in the future, and will you ever stop playing WoW? Well, one day WoW's time will pass. It will probably be years and years from today, but it will happen. I don't think the game will be killed off by a so-called WoW killer either. It's quite obvious that people are very loyal to the game, and if the game is going to die off, it will be very slowly, or as a result of Blizzard pulling the plug. And plans for the future, I'm going to be on YouTube for a long time to come. If World of Warcraft is completely gone 5 years from now, I'll be playing and making montages and guides for the MMOs and MOBAs of the future. It might be Dota 3, it might be Heroes of the Storm, will likely be Blizzard's shady project in the making, Titan. Elder Scrolls Online may even be owning things up. It's really too much to forecast. All I know is that I'll still be around doing what I love on YouTube. As for more future plans, it's quite scary, but not a whole lot. Buy a house, get a dog, maybe kids one day, but all of that seems a world away. I just hope I'm able to keep on doing what I'm doing here on YouTube along the way, whichever way things go. Ulrich Johnson asks, when you first started playing WoW, how come you rolled a Warlock? And did you try out any other classes before you decided to play a lock? I might have answered this one at some point before, so I'm going to try and boil it down fairly quickly. When I first played the game, I played a warrior. I didn't even put a whole lot of thought into it. I was more just curious about the game. So I did the first few quests as a bald-headed undead warrior. It wasn't until the second time I played that I tried out all of the classes to be sure I was picking the right one. I got to Warlock last out of all of them, and I instantly loved the feel of the class. I did the quest to learn my imp. Back in the days where us warlocks actually had to complete challenging quests to learn to summon our various demons, and I never looked back from there. Alright, that's all for questions, guys. Now for donations before we wrap this one up. A name which I'm around 97% sure I'm pronouncing incorrectly is Achraf Uchia, who donates €2, leaving behind a note reading only, pronounce my name. Thomas Schwall donates €10 saying, love your videos on personality, very inspiring, keep it up. And lastly, Duncan Hughes Guy donates €10 saying, yo Cobb, never donated to a YouTuber before, but I watch all of your vids in the background when I do my Warlock PvP. Even though most players dominate me, you inspire me to be the best of my abilities. All awesome donations, all hugely appreciated as always. I can't thank you guys enough. I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing. Hopefully keep you guys wanting to see more. I want to thank everyone for watching. Remember to leave any questions you have for me in the comments below for a chance of having them answered in the next episode. They can be about anything. My real life, my past, my hopes and dreams, or just the standard gaming. Anyways, hope you all liked this episode. Remember to stay destro, and I'm going to catch you all next time.